I'll just welcome you forward. All right, good. I'll just wait a few moments.
Good morning. Good evening. There we go. How's that sound? Hello, hello. Check, check. Toast. There we go.
I did, yes. I was going to get here earlier, but...
Good evening. My name is Reverend Ben Konechny. I am one of the ministers here at First Congregational Church. As we say at the beginning of worship every Sunday, seekers and let's first do a sound check. As we say every Sunday before worship, can you hear me? As we say before worship every Sunday here at First Congregational Church, seekers and believers, people of faith, people of no faith at all, no matter who you are, no matter where you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. So we hope that you feel welcomed here this evening. I will say that two of the things that I think we might be a little bit high now on the reverb. Two of the things that help me feel welcomed in this space are coffee or tea, and if you walked in and didn't notice, we have coffee and tea in the narthex. We'd love for you to grab a cup of coffee. And because of that, you might want to know where the bathrooms are. So the bathrooms, as you walk through the main hallway, there are two bathrooms there, and then our auxiliary children's hallway also has two restrooms. I have had the distinct honor of serving this First Congregational Church community for almost 12 years. Long before I arrived, and still to this day, this congregation has a long and proud history of being dedicated, committed, and involved in ensuring that there is quality public education for all of our kids in the Greeley-Evans School District. So we are grateful that you are part of this conversation tonight because it is an important one. And we look forward to this time to share ideas and to hear different opinions as we move towards November. Thank you for being here tonight. Your presence is a gift. I'd like to invite Dr. David Hulock, who will be moderating this conversation tonight. Dr. Hulock.
So thank you, everybody. So I'm David Hulock, and I'm serving two purposes here today. I am the moderator of Cabinet here at First Congregational Church, and it's a distinct honor to be able to represent the congregation in that way. I'm also the chair of the school psychology program at the University of Northern Colorado, and I'm also thrilled to be able to have that opportunity to work with just wonderful future school psychologists, many of whom are here tonight. I'd like to thank our co-sponsors for this event. As well as our church, Family of Christ Presbyterian Church, the Greeley Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, or PFLAG, Congregation Beth Israel, Atlas Church, the College of Education and Behavioral Sciences at the University of Northern Colorado, and the Greeley Interfaith Association. It is a privilege to be here. It's a privilege that many people around the world do not get to have. We're part of a great experiment, the American experiment, based on the idea that the best decisions are made not by individual powerful people, but by the majority of ordinary citizens like every one of us in this room. True democracy happens in small towns, where people know each other and come together to make difficult decisions about issues that affect us. Greeley-Evans were created by communities of people who were distrustful of national trends. Today, we value our local control and understanding the local issues that today affect our kids. Today's town hall harkens back to the early days of our towns and our school district. Indeed, today we have ordinary citizens who have put themselves out there to be volunteers and to represent all of us as we look at the best ways to educate our youth. This town hall is not a pep rally, a performance, or a show. It is an honest exchange of ideas. We're going to ask today's participants to share their opinions, values, and thoughts about how to best govern our school district. As such, we request that the audience not respond in applause, snaps, boos, vocalization, intimidations, or in other ways to the ideas that these people will be putting forward. Instead, we request that each of these candidates be honored at the start and at the end of today's discussion. We ask that they be honored as people, fallible and ordinary people who are making the extraordinary decision to volunteer to serve us and the kids of Greeley-Evans. So I'd like to introduce our candidates. I'm going to go in alphabetical order, so if you'll please raise your hand when I call your name. Doran Azari, Brenda Campos Spitz, Stacy Castile, Natalie Mash, Ashley Tilley. We also invited Elda Ibet Palacios and James Scott Rankin, who are unable to join us today. But would you please join me in applauding our school board candidates? So we're going to start by allowing each candidate 5 minutes to share their thoughts and share their intentions of why they decided to run for school board. Then I will have 3 questions for the candidates, and they will have 2 minutes to respond to those questions. Along the way, there are going to be note cards that will be passed up and down. Those note cards will be, you can write your question on those, and they'll be synthesized down front here. Because our time is only 1 hour and 15 minutes, and a little bit less given how much talking I'm doing, we probably will not get to every question, but we will make an effort to. By the end, the candidates will each have 2 minutes to finalize their thoughts. So I am again going to go by reverse alphabetical, or by alphabetical order here, and I'm going to let Doran Azari start. Mr. Azari.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you, everyone, for being here this evening. And thanks to my fellow candidates up here. I go to this church, and this is a very special event, and we're honored that you are here this evening. A lot of people know that I taught orchestra in School District 6 for over 30 years. The story behind that is I was at the University of Northern Colorado, and I did not really have an intention of becoming a teacher. I was actually in the Colorado Army National Guard. I'd been in the ROTC program at UNC and CSU, and I was thinking about having a military career. But my mom, who was a job service center counselor, I went and talked with her, and she said, well, you should explore education programs. And so I did at UNC along with the military studies of it, and I had an opportunity to work in a special program called the UNC String Project. I was a musician also. And this special project gave students in School District 6 an opportunity to come to the University of Northern Colorado and take private string lessons and participate in ensembles as an extra to their curricular studies in the schools. And I found that I was working really well with the students. And so well, in fact, that several of the teachers throughout the community asked me to come in and work with the students in the schools. One thing led to another, and I guess I never went away. I just stayed here. Actually, a true story is my wife and I, not my wife at the time, but my fiance and I were wandering around UNC, and I turned to her and I said, "Where would you like to live?" Because we could have gone anywhere in the United States. And she said, "I want to live in a town just like Greeley." Well, I figured out with her after a while that when she says she wants something just like that, she means she wants that. So that's another reason why we're here. I had a special career. I was blessed. I had a special career in that I had the opportunity to work with sixth graders, initiating them into the orchestra experience. I was an orchestra director, okay? And I worked with those same students that I started year after year after year, all the way up to high school, tracking with them as they went through their educational program. Thousands of students over those over 30 years, and thousands of parents working, negotiating, hundreds of administrators to build this program here in School District 6. It gave me a great opportunity to have a global view of our town, and I actually worked in every secondary school in this community, and I got to work with students from all different backgrounds. It was a wonderful experience. When I left the school district in retirement, I had plans to do more public service work. I serve on many boards and commissions in this community. I've been on the Historic Preservation Commission, the UCC Advisory Board, been on the North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is tracking growth over the next 50 years in northern Colorado. And when the school district openings came up for school board, I met with many people around the community, and they advised that I should continue this service in the schools, and I'm honored to do so. And again, I thank you for your support and for your time this evening. Thank you, Dave.
Campus Spitz, excuse me.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that you all want to make an informed decision when your ballots come in the mail next month. So I really, really appreciate that you're exercising your right to be informed and to practice the democracy that we all live in. So my name's Dr. Brenda Campos-Spitzy. It's a hard one to pronounce. I'm a family doctor. I work at the local community health center in town in Evans. I've been there for about 9 years. I actually chose to move to Greeley 9 years ago because of that community health center. It was featured recently in the newspaper because Sunrise just had their 50th year anniversary. I often assume that people know what community health centers are, but since I have 5 minutes to talk to y'all, I'm going to explain it to those of you who might not know what a federally qualified health center or community health center is. It is a clinic that is federally funded to provide high-quality, affordable access to care for all, regardless of ability to pay. So we are the safety net clinic in town that we serve our uninsured patients and our underinsured patients. We attract a large immigrant and refugee community. And when I was looking for a family medicine residency in 2014, I came across this program in Greeley where I could train at the Banner Hospital and do my clinic training at the Sunrise Clinic, and I fell in love with the idea of working at Sunrise and ranked this program #1. I'm originally from California, so when my husband, who's also a family doctor, and I came to Greeley, we came for the training and we didn't think we would stay here. But 3 years later, we had really fallen in love with this town. We loved the diversity in Greeley. We loved the kind of small town feel, but big city amenities like Target. We loved downtown. We loved the craft breweries. We loved biking around and all the parks that Greeley has. It really is kind of, at the time it had that motto of Greeley Unexpected, and it really was for us. So after we completed our training in those 3 years, we decided we wanted to stay here. So I've been serving District 6 families, children, parents, grandparents in my clinic, in my exam room for the last 9 years. And after 9 years, I wanted to do more for families than what I could do in the exam room. So 11 months ago, a position opened on the school board. So Pepper Mueller, who was one of the 7 school board directors, moved to Boulder, created a vacancy, and I was one of the community members who applied and and by a majority vote from the 6 remaining board members, I got voted in. So I have had a sneak peek of what it's like to be a board member for the last 11 months, learning the roles, responsibilities. I joined the school board last year for many reasons. Most of all, I really do believe that high-quality public education is the great equalizer in our community, that it allows children to succeed regardless of their background, regardless of the color of their skin, regardless of how much money their parents make. And I thought, with my free time, what more noble thing to do than invest in our kids and in our community that way. I also joined the school board because I'm a mother. I have 2 young children. They have Greeley, Colorado on their birth certificates. They were born next door at Banner. And my oldest, who's 4, will be starting kindergarten next year at a Greeley public school, right, a District 6 public school. So I have some skin in the game, and I want her, as well as every child, to get a high-quality education. So that was another. Ooh. Okay. I also joined because I believe cultural representation matters. Nearly 65% of the 22,000 students in our district identify as Latino, and before I came on the board, we didn't have any people of color on the school board, so I really felt that my shared lived experience with these students, growing up in a Spanish-speaking household, really was important to have that perspective at the table. I'm also proudly bilingual. I'm raising my children bilingual. I know we have one bilingual option for school here in Greeley, but I wanted to expand those opportunities for students. I believe being bilingual is a superpower in today's economy. I wanted to expand early literacy. We have pre-Ks in 6 of our primary school sites. As part of being on the board, I want to make sure that we have pre-K in all of our primary schools. And then while I've been on the board these last 11 months, while those were my priorities prior to being a board member.
And that's time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Castile.
Is this, okay, perfect. Good evening, my name is Stacy Castile, and I am running for District 6 School Board Director. I am a mother of 3 biracial children. I am an Air Force wife. I have a master's degree in business with an emphasis in accounting. I have a strange love for internal controls, and not in terms of trying to criticize, but more so just making sure that we are utilizing all of our resources to the best of our abilities. Something that I definitely enjoy to do. I was a young single mom. That's something that I feel like I can bring to the table because we have a demographic of students that are young parents, and I want to show them that despite something that society may seem as a setback for them, is something that they can use. I was able to go on and graduate with a master's degree. I maintained a 3.7 GPA the entire time. I worked full-time while going through school and being a single mom. And I feel like this is an opportunity to show kids that what has happened today can truly be used to accelerate you in your life. I use this opportunity to show my daughter that with hard work and determination, I was able to fulfill my dreams. I currently work for a Fortune 500 company where I do their capital expenditure billing and accounting. I sit on a handful of committees. One of them is the Weld County Human Services Advisory Committee. On there, I am the secretary, and it has given me a lot of opportunities to see some of the needs in our communities. I've been able to hear stories about our community members going out and helping people who are not able to take care of their yards. An example of this was when, after the flood of 2013, along the river, there was a house that had been inundated in their backyard area with old tires. There was so many old tires there that they couldn't dispose of them on their own. And it was such a heartwarming story to hear how our community was able to come together to help them get that off of their property so that the county didn't fine them. They were on a restricted income, and that was just not something that they were going to be able to pay. I also sit on the Weld Faith Partnership Council here in Weld County. I am the youth and teen advocate for that committee, and I have an opportunity to work with multiple children throughout the county and helping them get involved in their communities, inside their local churches. An example of this is a youth night that is being held where students from all over get to go and learn some really fun bull riding, horse riding, roping, just come together and praise God while having fun and getting out of the house instead of just playing on their PlayStations all night. I would like to give a voice and help empower parents. No matter what the message is, I hope that me running inspires somebody else to stand up and to pay attention to what's going on in their schools. All too often I see people who say, I could never do that. You're so brave for being able to do this. And ultimately, I just want everybody to be involved. We have an amazing bunch of kids that have great opportunities ahead of them, and I want to be able to help them achieve all of their full potential.
We have 40 seconds.
4?
40.
Oh, 40. I was like, that was very precise. With that, though, I will end. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. I would now, Ms. Mash.
Hello, my name is Natalie Mash. I have been serving on the board since 2018 when, like Dr. Campos-Vinci, I was appointed to a vacancy left by Roger DeWitt, and then I was elected in 2019. I have a senior and a sophomore at Greeley Central High School, and I'm getting to relive my high school years with all the sporting events and marching band and fun things that go on in high school. And my husband and I decided to make Greeley our home 22 years ago. We got married 22 years ago. Anyway, I grew up in Greeley and enjoyed a happy and safe childhood. I think when you grow up in a place, maybe you don't understand the makeup, the joys, the challenges of a place. And so my husband's from Washington State, and we did some traveling, kind of like, where do we want to land, similar. I love hearing the stories that Greeley just grabbed them by the heart, and they ended up staying here. So we decided when we were going to live here that we were going to be champions of Greeley. And that looked like spending our money downtown and at small and local businesses, being a part of those kind of dream parties of what could this look like. And over the years, I would say in the past 15 years, I feel like Greeley has just really blossomed. We have a beautiful, state-of-the-art, big city library downtown where everyone can enjoy it. We have new parks. We have so many new industries coming in, and even though I sometimes rail at having to turn left and waiting forever for the traffic, growth is a good problem to have. It means we have a thriving city. And schools are a part of having a thriving city. So Michael Matthews, our board president, is a good friend of mine and pastor of my church. And our church vision is to be a church for the city. And so it started to be apparent that serving education is a way to serve the city. So what started as, a volunteer opportunity, I was already involved in my kids' schools. I did a mentorship program called Kids Hope. Being on the board has truly become a passion. I find the science and the psychology and the way that students learn and our teachers and our administration who truly understand that just fascinating and very rewarding to be a part of being in those idea sessions. How can we reach all of our students? A few things that I have been instrumental in that I'm very proud of here in District 6 over the past 5 years is, for starters, the partnerships and the trust that have been built with the community. That has been evidenced by our mill levy override being passed the first time and renewed the second time, and also our bond measure being passed. Our community believes in the work that we're doing in District 6 and have seen fit to trust us with some extra funds so that we can build beautiful buildings, get our kids out of portable classrooms, renew our curriculum, keep our kids safe, and pay our teachers and our staff well. This leads to another thing that I'm super proud of, and that is the educational diversity offerings that we have through District 6. Whether your student is interested in engineering and STEM or the arts, if they want to go into agriculture, culinary arts, if you would like a smaller educational experience through a charter school, we have an excellent relationship with our charters. So there's something for everyone here in District 6. Back to the trust built with our community, I think a lot of that is through the financial stewardship that we show. Our finance team wins a yearly national award for the transparency and the way that our budget is reported and explained. And through that financial stewardship, we were able to build an entire extra building that we didn't plan on with the bond issue, and that's the Jefferson High School and Career and Tech Ed Center. I'm very proud of that. All of this is possible because leadership matters, and we have excellent leadership in District 6. That is one of the primary roles of board, is to hire and maintain and hold the superintendent accountable. And Dr. Pilch has done an amazing job in the past 8 years that she's been here.
Well, 1 minute.
Okay. We are a leader in the state. Dr. Pilch and her team are frequently asked for advice and what's going on in District 6, and tell us about your family center. We don't have one of those. Tell us about your Career and Tech Ed Center. In addition to that, we're doing a lot of work to recruit quality educators and keep them here in District 6, and we've become a destination district for educators. I think that we are educating children well and that we have been on a positive trajectory for the past 8 years, and I would like to continue that forward motion. I would like to protect the things that we have put in place that are going really well and continue to innovate how we can reach all of our students. So thank you for your time. Thank you for having us.
Great. And Ms. Tilley.
Good evening. Thank you, everybody, for being here, taking time away from your family to come meet all of us, hear what we have to say, and then ask us a lot of questions. The reason I am running is because I am a mom. I have 3 boys, 1 in high school at Northridge and 2 at Westridge Academy. I see all the greatness that this district is doing, and I am super proud to be a part of this district, and I am happy that my kids are in this district. But I also see a few things that I think could use some polishing. One of the things is making sure that the kids don't fall through the cracks, and making sure that our teachers have all the tools they need and support to be able to ask for help, to reach out to us, to tell us that they need stuff, making sure that they have all the supplies they need in their classroom to provide for all the kids at every different level that kids are at. That way we can meet them there and help them. Either if they need a little bit more time, the teacher has all those tools ready and can give it to the children. And also, if the kid is super accelerated and finishes work, isn't disrupting the class because they're done, they can give them some more work to do, some harder work that keeps them busy and distracted, so that the teacher can keep focusing on everybody else instead of having a kid finish early because they are so accelerated. My oldest is in the ROTC program. I really enjoy that program. It teaches him leadership, teaches critical thinking, and I would love to see that in all schools, giving our kids those tools to think for themselves, to have those deep conversations with one another, to know that it is okay to not agree on everything, but just to get along. I moved here in 2015 from the mountains. I was born up in Georgetown, and we came out here. My husband is a blue-collar worker, and at first I was like, what is that smell? Why are we moving here? But then it grew on me. I love all the parks, I love the people, I love having, you know, your mama and papa shops, and then you have your big shops for things you want. I don't see us leaving. That's another reason why I'm running for school board. I really am happy here. I want to raise my family here. My youngest is in kindergarten, so I plan on being here for a very long time. And I just want to get really active into the community to make sure that this community stays the way it is and more people come and we can open our doors to more people, invite more people in, and just be a thriving community where everybody else is jealous of us and they want to be here, but we can't let them in because we're too booked. Just joking. But so I just see some things that I just want to address and be a part of. I have a lot of questions as a parent, and I want to know more. I want to understand. I want to know why things are the way they are. I also want to bring back accountability. Our kids need to respect our teachers. They need to respect one another. They need to know that, you know, your best friend is probably the one next to you, and just listening to them, having conversations, and just making sure that they're well-rounded, healthy, ready for the world, and can go into any place and thrive and live a happy life. Sorry, that's all I got.
Thank you. Okay. I now have 3 questions, and you'll have 2 minutes to respond. This time I'm going to go in reverse order. So whoever got to go, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. I don't think that's the first time we've said that in a church, is it? So here's the first question. Recently, the CEO of Colorado Children's Hospital declared a state of emergency in youth mental health, with record high numbers of children and youth reporting mental health crises. There's been a 23% increase in youth visiting emergency departments for behavioral concerns, a doubling compared to the first quarter of 2019. Emergency room providers in Colorado have seen a substantial increase in suicide attempts. The number has increased 60% since 2003 for those between the ages of 15 and 18. Yet there has not been a subsequent increase in mental health services available in the community. Now here's the question. What should be District 6's role for supporting the mental health and social emotional learning for Greeley-Evans students in general, for those at risk for mental health problems, and those experiencing acute mental health crises? Yes, please.
So with that is, we got to know the kid. We got to catch those early signs. My oldest, his father committed suicide. So I know the pain that it brings on a child when they immediately start blaming themselves. Why did my dad do this? Did he not love me enough? Was I not good enough for him to stay around? So those early signs, and they're really very faint, because I will admit I did not see the signs of my son right away. It took me a while, and then I realized the pain he was feeling, and then the grief that he was doing, and blaming himself for his own dad's choice. So I just think early, watching what they say, watching what they do, and just letting them know that they are loved, they are here for a purpose. They were put in that spot at that time for a purpose, and just supporting them. Let them say what's on their mind. Sometimes it's anger, and let them scream and yell and let them get it out.
Thank you. Ms. Mash.
Absolutely, this is a problem facing our students in large measure, and it definitely was a large problem even before COVID. I feel like COVID's shown a spotlight on all of the things that are already a problem in society. And so with some of our COVID relief dollars, we were able to increase the number of counselors, social workers, school psychologists, and create a new position called parent and family advocates or liaisons. Before that, we might have one school psych for 2 or 3 schools. We had our counselors that helped with, which classes are you going to take or which scholarships are you going to do, but not counselors for mental health supports. So District 6, I think, has some robust supports in place. These are always things that we can be increasing, improving, tweaking. There are a couple of surveys that we ask our students to take. They are optional. Parents can opt them out of it. But that data gives us one piece of the puzzle of what our students are experiencing. It does ask about suicidal ideation. It asks about drug use. It asks about how they're feeling. Are they feeling safe in their schools and things like that. And that can help direct some of our work. This school has a lot of this type of struggle going on, with this school has a different type. There are some programs that are student-led, and I think that peer-to-peer support is also very important. My son's been fortunate to be a part of what's called Sources of Strength, and it's this wheel of all the different places that you can draw comfort and support from, your friends, whether it's doing art or activities, it's a trusted adult, it's music, it's all these different things, and so we are training up our students to be peer help to their friends as well. We also have a program called Safe to Tell, which is an anonymous way to report any concerning behavior. Students can use it, parents or teachers as well.
Thank you. Ms. Castillo?
I can't remember either. I have to say, first and foremost, these statistics are devastating. Yeah. Breaks my heart. I'm not necessarily sure if it's just my mama heart that breaks, that there's a child that might feel like the only way things are going to get better is to end things. I couldn't even understand. I have a lot of experience with dealing with mental health. My daughter lost her father at a very young age, and I truly, as a single mom, had to start to figure out how to help her cope through this. She was 5 years old, and I didn't want her to become one of these statistics because of the heartache that she felt by losing her father. I definitely think that the approach needs to have a lot of student-led support involved, because these children are feeling this way a lot of times because they feel like they're left out at school. They don't have a support at school, in the classroom, amongst their peers. I would like to see some of these groups and get more of an understanding of what is currently in place about how the students are able to come around each other. I know in my time in high school, I was a part of a group of friends that we would find people, it was a very small school, but we would find people that had some struggles that we knew, and we would come around them and support them in knowing that everything is going to be okay. We just put one foot in front of the next. And I think if we have that encouragement amongst the children, then that will help some of these situations. If we stop the fear that our friends are going to make fun of us for something, for our feelings. Thank you.
Right. Dr. Campus-Spitzy.
So thank you for this question. It's a true problem right now, the youth mental health crisis that was mentioned. I believe social media has a lot to do with it. Kids nowadays, they're on Instagram and they're seeing how many likes they have, and that can mess with their self-esteem and their self-worth. And then the isolation of the COVID pandemic definitely did not help the situation. So I always say, I am glad that I am not a teenager in today's times, because it is a difficult time. So District 6, because I've been on the board the last 11 months, I believe it was in February, we celebrated School Counselor Appreciation Month. And it was so cool to hear from the school counselors at the dais that day, who said that there was a time that there was only a handful of school counselors in District 6. And now there is a school counselor in every single building but one. And the only building that doesn't have a school counselor has an opening for a school counselor. They just haven't filled that opening. So I am so proud that we are partnering with our students that way. We also have social workers. I, as a family doctor, I act in a position of a trusted adult, right, for families. And I love that idea that there is somebody besides the parent that can take responsibility for a child's well-being. I want my kids growing up to have a lot of trusted adults, you know, in our neighbors, in our friends, in our family, but also in schools, in their teachers, in their school counselors, in their family doctors, that maybe they're embarrassed to tell me about a problem they're having, but I would hope that they could open up to somebody else. So I'm so proud that District 6 has prioritized social and emotional learning. It's where our anti-bullying curriculum comes from. You know, children who are victims of bullying, that it can just be a very a downward spiral for students. And so I know we do a survey, Natalie kind of alluded to.
I'm sorry to cut you all off so abruptly. I appreciate your... All right, Mr. Azari.
I did notice through my career, towards the end of it, that there seemed to be a rising mental health, I wouldn't say crisis at that time. I think we're in that. COVID exacerbated that. But I think it started to coincide, I agree with Brenda, with the advent of these and the negative messaging that students were receiving. I started noticing more and more students becoming more reclusive, shutting down. We started to see behaviors called cutting, where students, that was a precursor to suicide. Students' lack of communication skills, and that has broadened out into our community. We've all seen that manifest in violence inside the schools. It is a very serious concern, very. Fortunately for our school district, the citizens of the community, the majority of voters approved the mill levy override funds. I'm on the mill levy oversight committee, and the school district has targeted millions of dollars toward this in school counseling supports, school psychology supports, even attendance monitors, more monitors, campus monitors in the building, more opportunities for kids to seek support services from North Range Behavioral Support. I'm all in for this. I don't want to see these sorts of things shut down. And I'm afraid that it's going to increase. And I hope it doesn't. I hope that we can bring kids together to solve this problem, bring adults together to work on it as well, because it's pervasive in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this time I'm going to go from this side of the room to this side of the room. So I'll start with you and then over here. So here's the question. The Trevor Project's 2022 National Survey on Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Queer Youth Mental Health found that 45% of LGBTQ youth seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year, including more than half of transgender and non-binary youth. And that LGBTQ youth are more than 4 times as likely to attempt suicide than their peers. What unique challenges or issues do you think LGBTQ plus students face in public schools that contribute to these disturbing statistics? And as a member of the Board of Education, what policies and programs would you seek to retain or put into place to ensure the safety, well-being, and success of LGBTQ plus students in District 6?
I believe in equality for everybody. And I believe that these statistics, the fact that children feel like they don't belong, is heartbreaking. A story that I can think of is in a conversation with my stepson. He told me, in just an offhanded comment, "I don't think I'll ever be gay, no offense." And immediately I had to ask, why would you feel like such a statement would hold offense? It was brought on that the children in the classroom will say that if you say that you're not gay, that you are homophobic. And I don't believe that to be true. I believe that we need to love each other. No matter what characteristics they hold, I don't believe that children should be picking on each other. I don't believe that they should be talking about sexuality, and therefore they shouldn't be picking on each other based on that stuff. I think if we can get the kids to come together and support each other and rally for each other, we can start addressing some of these very, very devastating statistics.
Could you repeat just sort of the question part?
Absolutely. What unique challenges or issues do you think LGBTQ plus students face in public schools? And as a member of the Board of Education, what policies and programs would you seek to retain and or put into place to ensure the safety, well-being, and success of LGBTQ plus students in District 6?
Okay, so I think that District 6 seeks to be a welcoming and a safe community. We have a number of measures that are already in place to ensure that anyone who interacts with our district feels welcome, seen, and heard. And even just on Monday, that was the language even around students choosing their career and college pathway, that they would feel seen and heard, that their desires would be a focus. We have a robust social emotional learning curriculum. And to be very clear of what that is teaching students self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. It is character building. It is how to relate to one another. We also do diversity, equity, and inclusion training and cultural proficiency for all of our educators. And when we're saying culture, we don't just mean race and ethnicity and nationality. We also mean our LGBTQ students and family. We also have a brand new bullying curriculum. District 6 creates a culture of welcoming and safety and inclusion, and that is what is truly at risk in this election. When we talk about going back to the basics, all of those things will be removed. We will only teach reading, writing, and arithmetic, and we will fail to meet the humanity needs of our students. I am sure that our LGBTQ students experience things that I'm not aware of, and I would love to learn more about that. I think it's imperative that it is known that stating that you are gay or trans is not a sexual statement. It is an identity statement. And our students should be free to be who they are while learning these relationship skills and how to respect one another.
Thank you.
As a school board member, I would defer to my professionals in the counseling, service, and support area in regards to these issues. And again, these have expanded over my career in School District 6. And it is a problem amongst the children in the schools, and how the schools deal with it is in an ever-since evolution. It's evolving currently within the schools. It's evolving nationally. Right now, the U.S. Department of Education is hammering out a new rule, for instance, in regards to Title IX, and how that pertains to LGBTQ students in school settings, in sports settings, and it's not just in the public schools, it's going all the way up to universities as well. And again, the mental health services and supports in regards to the needs of the students that identify as LGBTQ is a serious concern. And again, I feel the school district is embracing this currently, but as we move into the future, we'll need to have more discussions, more communication, and more supports throughout the community in order for us to find a better solution.
So the first part of the question is about unique challenges and issues faced by LGBTQ plus youth. I might have an advantage because I get to hear about some of these unique challenges and issues in my exam room for my teenage patients. The biggest challenge is whether they feel like they can even exist. whether they can be their authentic selves or if they have to fake being something that they're not. And the parents are often in the room begging them to not come out. And not because their parents don't love them and accept them. Their parents are afraid that they're going to get bullied. Their parents are parents, and they fear for their kids' safety. They know we live in a conservative community, and they tell them, just wait till you're in college. You know, your college peers will be more accepting. So I hear that conversation often, and I think that is a very unique challenge these kids face. As far as policies and programs, I love our Innovation 2030 strategic plan. One of the 4 parts of our strategy is building a climate and culture of inclusion. To me, that means supporting our students with love, dignity, and respect. I want our students and our employees to feel happy, healthy, and authentically whole. And my hope would be that we create an inclusive environment where all members of the D6 community can feel a sense of belonging and can show up in their authentic, true selves. We do have a non-discrimination and equal opportunity statement that talks about not discriminating on the basis of gender identity and sexual orientation. We also have an anti-bullying policy. It's JICDD, about violent and aggressive behavior, and it specifically refers to discriminatory slurs because of gender identity and sexual orientation. It's one thing to have policies, it's another to build a culture of inclusion. Those are 2 different things, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what I have heard from students and kids, my son is really good friends with a lot of gay kids, and I have sat down with them and I have asked them, do you feel included in the District 6 area? And they say yes. I say, do people bully you for your choice in your life? And they say no. They say what is the problem is where it comes from things being pushed. They say that before COVID, were completely fine. Now after COVID and everything getting political and being pushed on these kids, they have seen more of a backlash from that. They wish that they could go back to pre-COVID, where the kids in the school knew they were gay and didn't care. They still wanted to be friends with them. But now there's this push, there's this division. And I believe that we need to just teach our kids, no matter the color, no matter what that person is, you need to respect them and be kind. My nephew is also gay. He just got married last year to his partner. And I asked him if he would love to go back to school as a gay man in today's world. And he looked at me and said, no way. I would not want to go back. Because when I went through school, nobody cared that I was gay. Nobody judged me. Nobody discluded me from anything. He's like, but now I go out with my partner and I'm getting dirty looks again. I feel like we went back in time. So I think we just really need to stop putting our kids in these boxes and stop pushing stuff on them and let them be kids, because really kids do not judge one another. They just want to get along. They just want to be left alone, do what their parents say so they don't get yelled at, and turn in their assignments.
Thank you. Okay, my final question, and I will start with Ms. Mash on this one. The school board makes one hire, the superintendent. Since 2015, Dr. Deidre Pilch has served as the superintendent of the Greeley-Evans schools. How would you appraise her performance as superintendent? And if elected, do you intend to retain her services as superintendent?
Well, that is a very timely question, because our Board of Education just completed her superintendent's evaluation this last Monday. We met with her for an hour and a half to share the things that most impressed us about her and our recommendations moving forward. I think that Dr. Pilch has done a superb job in her this is now her 9th year here in District 6. When she arrived, there was a lawsuit pending between the Greeley Education Association and the district. There was very little business partnership or a lot of trust in the community. We had attempted to pass a mill levy override in the past, and that failed. But through Dr. Pilch's work, she's very involved in the community. I believe she sits on 2 or 3, 4 other boards in the community. She is extremely nonpartisan or bipartisan. She has respect throughout the community. And our graduation rate has increased by, I want to say, like 7.5%, 8% since she came on the board. We've added so many career and tech ed pathways. And every time a conversation happens with Dr. Pilch, she brings it back to the mission and vision, and specifically that we have 65% of our students who live in poverty, and education is the way forward and the way out of that. The way to elevate families out of poverty is to educate their children well. I believe that Dr. Pilch still has the same energy and passion that she had when she first arrived. I understand that superintendents can sometimes be from the business sector, but she is an educator, and she understands how teachers teach and how students learn. When a problem arises, you know, there's many choices of which direction to go, but oftentimes she is very aware of, like, this is why this school's scores dropped, and this is what we're going to do to fix it.
Thank you. All right, let's go to your left, audience right. So Ms. Castile, do you mind?
So if I was to review Superintendent Pilch's, Dr. Pilch's performance in the district, unfortunately, I did not have my daughter in the district until it was her first year as superintendent. I had seen part of the old ways that the school district was going, and I can definitely say that we have made some changes. One of the things that I would really like to applaud her for the most is going to University High School and talking to them to help her develop the CTE plan. That was one of the greatest things that I think that we could offer our children. And I'm so glad that she took the time to go and find out more and figure out how to implement that for our District 6. In regards to planning on retaining her, I definitely look forward to working with Dr. Pilch. So far, I feel like we have a really great relationship in terms of being able to have open communications together. And I look forward to continuing that trajectory.
Thank you. Ms. Tilley, do you mind going next?
I've had a few interactions with Pilch, dealing with my son and the school, and I applaud her as well because I had an issue with the school, with a teacher, and trying to get my son to stay on track to get his associate's degree. And this was during summer, right before they're about to let out, and she called me while she was out of state. She called me up, we sat and talked about it. I told her what was going on. She told me what she could do to fix it. And then we had another issue, and quick email to her, hey, this is what's going on, can you please help me? And she got in contact with all the right people, then had one of the admissions people show up to the meeting that I had with my son and the teacher that would help better direct on the direction that we needed to go to keep my son on track. So I do look forward to working with her. I liked how she took time, especially on vacation out of state, to take my phone call as a concerned parent and then help me navigate it and get the situation under control and resolved. So I do look forward to working with her.
Thank you. Dr. Campos-Fitzy.
And so I'm glad Ashley Tilley brought that up because dedication is in Dr. Deirdre Pilch's DNA. She is on call 24/7, and that sounds exactly like something she would do. She's a listener. She leads by listening, and just really listening. And she's a communicator. She has healed, during her administration, she has brought a model called consensus. When the district has negotiations with our teachers union, my understanding is that relationship was very broken before Dr. Pilch came on board, and she helped heal that relationship through consensus, through listening to each other. And now, the teachers union and the District 6 administration are on very positive terms and have a very win-win relationship. Her partnerships just across the community, like how she has done that in just 9 years is incredible to me. She's just dedicated. We got to hear her speak on Monday. She gathered 2,500 people, her entire staff of classified and certified staff at the Greeley-West gymnasium to speak to them. And she was so vulnerable, and I always think a leader should be vulnerable. She spoke of her own background, having grown up in a trailer park, that her twin sister, when she crossed the graduation stage, was pregnant at the time. Her mom hadn't graduated high school, and so she is a child of poverty, and she believes the same thing that I do, that high quality education will pull children out of poverty. She's very proud of her career tech ed center, because those jobs as electricians and welders, that is going to pull kids in our district out of poverty.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm good.
I agree. One of the most remarkable things in Dr. Pilch's tenure is to do away with the adversarial relationship that we had established with GEA and moved it more to a win-win consensus building strategy. And that strategy helped the schools move forward, gave the teachers positive feeling, the whole staff for that matter. And that's what propelled the community, along with business leaders, to push forward with the mill levy override. Never thought I'd see that happen. That's remarkable. Never in the history of Greeley did we pass a mill levy. And then for it to happen twice, that just blows me away. And then for the community to pass a $395 million bond that ended up with the building of several schools in our community. But if you see Greeley-West from a performing arts standpoint, it's a world-class facility. They have a hydraulic pit. Schools don't have those. We are a professional opera company would feel at home in that auditorium. We are the talk of the state, and in some cases the talk of the nation, if you haven't heard. And Dr. Pilch has been leading that charge. If the superintendent is to be blamed when things go bad, let's give her credit when things go good. Now the true question is not if we're going to retain Dr. Pilch. We are. The question is going to be, what are we going to do when she decides to retire? That's the question. That is what's coming up in front of the board. That's why you need a strong, stable board. So we can find somebody who comes in and continues this forward momentum and this positive team building that Deirdre has brought forth in this community.
Thank you.
That's the way I feel. Thanks, Dave.
Okay, we have a few audience questions, and we're going to do 1 minute for these. And Dr. Campus-Spitzy, I'm going to start with you, and then we'll go this way and come back this way. All right. So 1 minute. What are some skills you have to help the board deal with conflict?
So I'm an Enneagram 9. So those of you who know the Enneagram, I am a middle child and a peacemaker. So I love harmony, and I am a listener. I do pride myself in doing my research before coming to a decision. That's another one of my strengths, is I gather a lot of input before I really decide on something. In today's day and age, there's lots of political divides. I hate being put in a box of, because you align with this party, this is how you think. That is not how I work. I will do my reading, I will do my research, I will get to the raw data before I come up with a decision. And I'm open to compromise, and that's just part of my personality.
Thank you.
I would deal with conflict like my mom has always taught me, is having discussions, asking questions, going in with an open mind and understanding where somebody else is coming from. My big thing is always asking questions and making sure that I fully understand what that person is trying to say or relate to. And that's pretty much what I have to say, is just talking to people, having conversations. I think we have gotten away from that with the technology and social media. A lot of us do a lot of typing, and you lose what somebody is trying to say and the feeling behind that. So I love to sit down and talk, and know that you might not agree with me, I might not agree with you, but I'm still gonna have respect for you and that you have your own thoughts.
Thank you.
I believe that every conversation that I've had over the last nine months or so has been a great conversation. But some of the conversations that I hold the closest to heart and value are the ones that were had with people that I knew that we were on opposite sides. And the fact that every time we walked away laughing, we didn't come to a situation where one of us went to the other side, but we were able to talk things out, to listen to what both sides have to say, and to find that common ground. I believe that common ground is everywhere. A skill that I have is that I have a very open mind. I can see how somebody could come to some conclusion, even though I may not necessarily agree with it. I oftentimes say that, I could see why this was what, someone chose to do, although I do not agree with it.
Thank you.
I think it sounds like we all value communication, and I think that is key, building relationships. I was just counting in my head, since I've been on the board for 5 years, I have served with 12 or 13 different people as people have been moved on and so forth. And we have had a very diverse group of folks, diversity of political thought, diversity of values, gender. We did have a little more racial diversity in the past, but I have been able to build a relationship with each of those folks, even ones that I know we're probably going to vote differently on certain issues. So I think that coming to the table with your fellow board members is vital. I also think that doing the work, doing the research, being present at the school visits and the community events helps to keep to read the temperature of our community and of our staff and our students. We make decisions for 25,000 people if we figure 2,500 to 3,000 employees and 22,000 students, and that's 20% of the Greeley-Evans community. It's a big task, and we're not going to make everyone happy with every decision, but that's our job, is to make decisions that are going to represent the most folks.
Thank you.
Working on boards, any boards, can be very challenging, but it all comes down to procedure. It all comes down to systems that are in place and respect for one another. When board members speak, the question that I would have as a board member is, am I really listening? Am I actively listening to what they have to say? Everybody's point of view is valid. Everybody's point of view has something to it that I might be able to pick up, and in communicating with that person, even though it might be different from my point of view, it helps us. It's about us. It's kind of like those team building things I had with orchestras and sports teams. It's about us. It's not about you. It's not about me. And as long as we keep that central focus, we can move forward in the best interests of all the stakeholders that are in the system. And again, it just takes work, constant work, and a good leader in a president. It's important for the board to establish that person.
All right. So one more question, and I'll start with you for this one. All right. This is a two-part question. What is the role of parents with a school board? And what is the role that parents should play in deciding which books should be in our libraries?
I think parents are the number one. They're the one that was in the hospital giving birth. They're the ones that are there at night when they have a fever. They are the ones there kissing their scratches and everything. So I think if a parent chooses however they want their child to be raised, I believe that the board and the district should respect that and honor the parents' wishes, because we as parents are the ones that are there. We are the ones there after that day at school. We are there at night. We are there in the morning with them. And I'm sorry, but I know my kids better than anybody else knows them. They were in my womb. I felt them kick. I nursed them. I stayed with them, everything. So I know exactly how my kids work, and I know exactly how I want them to be raised. And I
Thank
want
you.
them to have the same, sorry.
No. Go ahead.
So the role of parents in schools, I always say that there's 2 ingredients to a successful student, and those are a small classroom size and parental involvement. So I am a huge advocate of parental involvement. I would love to engage some of our families who tend to, work 2 jobs and have more difficulty getting to parent-teacher conferences and such. But yes, I would love parents to be more in our classrooms. That said, while parental involvement is needed, parents aren't always teachers, right? And we have to trust our teachers to be the professionals that they are. They were trained to teach. So I think there is a healthy balance between parental involvement and allowing teachers to do their job. That said, as far as the role of parents with regards to books, our district believes in parent rights, and parents can at any time go to a school library and say, I don't want my kid to check this book out or this book out or this book out, and the school will respect that wish. They will not allow that student to check those books out. For some of our controversial books, if a parent hasn't opted their child out, but their child is of a certain age and does check that book out, our district has a policy that we call that parent and let them know, your kiddo checked this book out. We just think you should know because you probably need to process that with them.
Thank you. I asked a 3-minute question and only gave you all 1 minute to answer it. My apologies.
What else is new, David?
Your time is running.
Thanks a lot. For me, he'll give me 15 seconds. Okay. All right, so I'll answer it really short then. Parents are very important. Throughout my whole career, I developed as a teacher because of the comments of parents. I sat down and talked with a parent about, okay, this is an orchestra thing, but chair placement, how that's best to work. And a parent came up with the idea, and I really valued those suggestions. If parents, as a board member, however, if a parent brought concerns to me, my responsibility as a board member is to share that concern with the superintendent. The superintendent is the go-to person, and a parent's comments are crucial in the development of the system of the school. Now, when it comes down to resources, I want to expand that out beyond books. Let's talk about videos. Let's talk about music selection. When school districts choose resources of any kind, like orchestra director, even playing Silent Night, comes with a lot of baggage. You got to beware of that. You have to know that that can be a controversial piece of music. And so you have to take this stuff very, very seriously. What books are in our libraries? We do need to take a look at that. We do need to listen. Okay, it is a crucial and important point. Okay, there are policies in place in the district, and we need to follow those policies, or there's no point in having them. Okay? Yeah, that's my answer.
I think that parents are our #1 partner in the education of our children. I felt that it didn't matter which school my kids would go to as long as I could be an involved parent and develop a relationship with the teacher, the principal, and the staff. My child would be known and they would have a successful educational experience. And that's what I might just call out. Sometimes we get things brought to us at the board which we can absolutely as Doran said, give to the superintendent, but many times we direct families back to, did you speak with your teacher? Did you speak with your superintendent or your principal, and you know, sort of go up that chain of command, because most of the time the problem can be solved there. And similar with a role in selecting books, there are so many things that parents can choose for their children or choose for them not to do. As I mentioned the survey earlier, that's entirely optional. Books are optional. But again, as I mentioned, we're making decisions and providing resources for 22,000 students. And no two parents are going to parent the same. They do know their children. What one parent wants for their child might be very different than what another parent wants, and so we need to keep the access available to all students.
So I do believe that the role of parents with the school board, in regards to the school board particularly, is very important, and I hope that more parents start coming out, grandparents, aunts, uncles, anybody to come to the school board meeting, to know who our elected officials are, and to have an understanding for them. As for the role of parents and what they should play in regards to the books, something that I hear often is that administrators and teachers alike wish that more parents would be involved. And yet here's an opportunity to get parents to be involved, to have them take an active role in opting their child into a book instead of making somebody pay attention to opt out. Here we are giving an opportunity, a way to encourage parent involvement by saying that it's okay for the parents who are not paying attention to what's going on to just think that everything's okay. There is an opt-out form that is in place. I'm sorry, it's not a form. It's an email that you have to send to the librarian, and while also copying the principal on it. So it's not a form to fill out, but an email can be sent, but that would require a parent to be continuously going through the library's inventory to determine what's a good book and what's not a good book. Instead, I think that children should be coming to their parents and say, I've heard about this book and I want to read it, and the parent walk with them and checking it out and understanding what they are reading and having conversations before they are exposed to what's in the book, and then maybe start to have some second thoughts.
Thank you. Ms. Tilley, I cut you off. I gave everybody else 30 extra seconds. So are you good? Okay. All right. So I would like to turn now to your final statements. You'll have 2 minutes for these. And I'll start with Ms. Tilley.
So I just really hope that on November 7th that I've earned your vote. I just want to be that voice for the parents. I want to be that voice for the kid that is falling through the cracks. And I want to be more engaged in my community. I want to understand everything that goes on in our schools and why it is done that way. I want to support the teachers fully. I hear a lot from the community, how they feel they're under-supported, and that they just need more resources, more tools. I would love to get the community involved more into our schools, helping the teachers with either coming and sitting down and reading, or grabbing a child and pulling them to the side and going over the alphabet and the sounds, and just supporting the teacher that way. So I really hope that tonight you got a lot of information. And thank you again for coming out. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'd love to sit down, have conversations with you. We can go get some coffee or just talk over the phone.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, again, thanks for coming out tonight. I always like to leave people knowing what my core values are, right? Because we can't anticipate what decisions we're going to make in the next 4 years, what different contentious issues will come up. But I want you to know my 3 core values. The first one is justice. I'm the child of immigrants. My parents were undocumented at one point. I grew up listening to a lot of stories of injustice, and so that seed of justice in me is strong. Another one of my values is service. It's why I'm a doctor at a community health center, helping some of our most marginalized parts of our community. And I believe in community and living in community and being part of Greeley, invested in Greeley. I've enjoyed being an active participant of the school board for the last 11 months, been in many schools, at many school events, really digging deep and learning what this job means and how I can impact students' futures. One of the reasons I joined the school board was equity, to make sure equity was on the forefront of our budgetary decisions. I was so pleased that under Dr. Deirdre Pilch, equity is always on the forefront. There is much work to still be done. You know, we haven't achieved all that we can, but I believe that District 6 is in such a positive place amongst our community. Because our schools are strong right now, our businesses are strong. We're attracting more people, and our community is growing. So I just want to be part of the progress that we have made in the last 9 years, and hope to continue to go on that positive trajectory. Thank you for listening.
Was I next?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I am honored to have the opportunity to continue serving with School District 6 and now in a new opportunity with the board. I feel that we are in a positive place in the school district right now. All the measures are there. 7 schools just this year moved up in the performance framework of the CDE. One of them was Franklin Middle School, which I was at for a long, long time, and they were in turnaround status, the lowest level, and now they're at performance status. The amount of work that those teachers must have done to get that school to that level, that's truly a positive. 14 businesses just this year have joined up with the internship partnership development with School District 6, the development of the CTE Center. I would like to see these things continue. Along with the superintendent, I really do look at that vision in the 2030 plan and look at the mission as well. And as our city grows, we need a school district, cities, I apologize, Evans and Greeley, as we grow, and Evans was first, by the way, as we grow, okay, we need to have a school district that grows well with it to keep providing our kids these great opportunities, and our teaching staff and all our staff as well. So thanks everyone again for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you all for having us. Thank you for coming out. These are, they give me a little bit of anxiety, but it's friendly faces, and it's a great opportunity for us to get to speak plainly, and so I appreciate the opportunity. It has been my great honor to serve the communities of Greeley and Evans these past 5 years. I am a senior member on the board. I believe that experience and continuity of leadership is essential to keep this forward momentum. I am committed to every student in the district and every family and every business partner and every citizen to do the very best that I can to ensure that all means all, that all of our students can succeed and we can continue to brainstorm innovative ways to meet those needs. As you all know, we are growing very quickly here in Greeley, and we need forward planning. We need additional buildings, and so we need a team in place that understands that and is not going to be caught on the back foot. As long as I am on the board, we will never, ever place another portable classroom, if I can help it. I know, be careful. And then I mentioned before leadership, but another thing I'd like to point out is that 2 of our principals for our high schools this year came from another high school. So our principal at Central and Northridge were both assistant principals at Greeley West. And so not only are we attracting and retaining qualified staff, but we're also elevating them into positions of leadership, and we are growing leaders. And I think that all of these things are extremely positive, and I'd like to keep them going. I encourage you all to continue to research the candidates. We all have websites and Facebook pages. Some people have done interviews and podcasts and things like that. Please look into all the things that we have put out there, and I echo what Ashley said. I'm very willing to meet and have a conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Something that I don't think a lot of people are aware of is that Abraham Lincoln's entire cabinet when he was elected were people who openly opposed him. They didn't think that he was qualified. They didn't think that he could do it. They thought that he would ruin the trajectory that they were on. But if we truly are striving for diversity and inclusion, I think that we need to show our students that no matter what obstacles have been thrown in your way, that there's still a way that you can give back to your community, and that you do have good quality input to put in to help your community grow. I'm not exactly sure where rhetoric that I had heard out in the community that a vote for me or Ashley would dumb down our students. I'm not exactly sure where that would come from, but I hope that we're letting all students know that no matter what they choose to do after high school, what diplomas or degrees that they go on, that even if they just go into the work field or just join the military, that they have good value and inclusion in their communities. Thank you.
Right. Will you please join me in thanking our candidates? We know that running for school board is an exhausting and a vulnerable experience, and we thank you all for putting yourselves out there and for sharing your thoughts with us today. And for those of us, just a reminder, we are neighbors, and these are all of our kids. So have a wonderful night, and go in peace.